You jolted awake, heart pounding, breath shallow. For a moment, you didn't know if what you had experienced was real, but it felt real. Too real for you to ignore, in fact. The words were still there, the images, the clarity, like something had been written directly onto your spirit. Not a dream, but more like a download. You whispered into the stillness, "Come on, God. I mean, what do I do with this? How do I actually live it?" Well, that's where I step in. Last time we talked, something woke up inside you. You felt it, that pull, that truth, that quiet realization that you are not too late. But then the next morning came and life was still there waiting right at the foot of your bed. The same responsibilities, the same expectations, the same pressure. And now you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, I know what I want now, but why do I still feel like this? You opened your eyes this morning and felt like you had already lost. Not because something went wrong, but because you woke up exhausted. You were exhausted. Your body showed up, but your smile didn't show up. Your soul didn't show up. You laid there for a second, staring at the ceiling, just doing the math in your head, wondering, how much do I need to give today? And who's going to be disappointed if I don't give it all? Well, that's how it's been going, and that's how it seems like it's going to be continuing to go for you. But you already know the answer. Everyone's used to you pushing through. You see, you are the one that's dependable. You are the strong one. You are the I always find a way to get it done one. And somewhere along the line, you quietly agreed to something that you should never have agreed to. You agreed to my health is negotiable. My peace is negotiable. And as long as everyone else is okay, you agreed that you will be fine. But you're not fine. You see, you're burnt out. And I need you to hear this clearly. Burnout is not your destiny. It's a warning light. It's a warning signal. And God did not design you to live on empty. Hey, I'm Richard, and welcome back to the Walk-In Transformation Podcast. If you're just joining us, this is where faith meets real life. Not that doctored up version you see on social media, but the real life version that you live every day. In this episode, we are breaking the lie that burnout is just a normal part of the deal. So by the time we're done here, not only will you see burnout differently, you will stop the agreement that you have with it. So take a slow, deep breath. This is the one that is for you, the part of you that's tired, the part of you that's afraid to stop. So what happens when your body calls a meeting your mind refuses to schedule? So have you ever woke up and felt like the day is already asking too much from you? It's asking more than you have left to give? Like your body clocked in, but your soul kind of called out sick. You see, I know that ache, not as a coach, not as someone, who's just trying to give advice, but as someone whose own body finally decided that it had enough. Let me set the scene for you. It was an ordinary afternoon, no crisis happening, no car accidents going on, no dramatic soundtrack. I was simply sitting at my desk, closing another deal, wearing that practiced smile that said, yeah, I'm fine, I got this. Emails were flying, deadlines were looming, and people were looking at me believing that I was the one who was really built for this. Well, my chest kind of started to tighten up a little bit, but I ignored it. My mind went a little foggy. I ignored that too because I had to keep pushing to close this big deal. You see, this deal would have been a huge payday for me. It would have given me an opportunity to slow down for a moment. But then suddenly, my life, everything kind of changed. You see, my body pulled its trump card. It pulled the plug. My hands wouldn't move. My mouth wouldn't even form words. My heart pounded so loud it drowned out every other sound, and I could hear it pumping in my ears. It was like my own body was shouting, you can't live like this anymore. But if you want to try it, go ahead. Now they rushed me to the hospital. Machines measured my pulse, but nothing could measure the years of pressure I had normalized or the pain. Now, the doctor, who was considerably younger than me, looked me dead in my eye and said, "If you keep going like this, it's going to kill you. And if you keep going like this, the money that you're chasing is not going to be able to do anything for you." That sentence stopped me in a way no motivational quote ever did. Right there in that sterile room, I realized something that you need to hear. And I realized that I had built a life that looked so successful on the outside, but it was totally a spiritual hot mess on the inside. That collapse was not punishment for me. It was mercy. It was God interrupting a story that I was never meant to keep writing, but I kept writing it. I kept trying my best. Sometimes grace doesn't whisper. Sometimes grace shakes the walls until you listen. So hear me. If your body has been whispering to you, "I'm tired," if your mind has been saying, "I can't keep this up," then that's not weakness. That is God calling a meeting, and you better come on into that meeting. This is the secret agreement that you never knew you signed. You see, you didn't wake up one day and say, "Let me destroy my health for everyone else's sake, everyone else's comfort." You didn't do that. Burnout does not start with a big decision. It starts with a lot of tiny agreements that feel like spiritual, responsible, or loving you. It's nothing of the sort. It sounds like and it feels like, "I'll stay a little later. I'll handle it. I've got it. I'll be fine." Now, you've said yes so many times that your no has forgotten how to show up. It's forgotten how to use its own voice. At first, people around you, they called it dedication. "He's so dedicated. He's so dedicated," And then they called it reliability. "This person is so reliable. I just love it." Then they called it normal. "Oh, that's what he does. That's just what he does." But then, and here's the big deal, then they called it what I just expect from him. What I just expect from him. But underneath all those compliments was a lie. You just don't get to rest. Your worth is in your work. That's what they were saying. So you pushed and pushed and pushed. Your body sent little warning signs, but you didn't pay any attention, You didn't. You ignored the headaches, the tight shoulders, that knot in your stomach, the sleep that never really refreshed you. Yeah, you just drank more coffee. You pushed the feelings down and you told yourself, "Other people have it worse. I should be grateful." You know how I know all this? Because I did the same thing. I called it drive. I called it purpose. But it was really desperation dressed up as ambition. I was running from silence because silence meant that I had to feel. And one day, my body just refused and told me to stop and feel this right now. You see, your body is not your enemy. It's your messenger. My body was not my enemy when it told me to stop that day. But what happened is that burnout is not proof that you're weak. It's proof that you've been faithful in places that God never asked you to be faithful. That's where I was. Let that sink in. You have been sacrificing yourself on altars that God never built. Let that sink in. Now, I want you to understand something about burnout, okay? This is where it really gets real. Burnout is not just exhaustion. Burnout is evidence that your worship is misplaced. You have been bowing to outcomes instead of obedience. You have been bowing to people's expectations instead of God's direction. You have been bowing to the role of strong one, the one who gets it done, instead of the reality of the beloved one. Now, you've tried to produce with your grind what only God can give through His grace. That's called being out of line. Here's the truth that broke something open in me. Peace is not a vibe. Peace is presence. Say that with me slowly and really say it. Peace is presence. It's not performance. It's not productivity. It's not people pleasing. You see, every time you override your limits to keep everyone else comfortable, you're worshiping the idea that you have to hold the whole world together. But Colossians chapter 1, verse 17 says this about Jesus. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. That means it was never your job. It's not on you to hold everything together, but you are invited to hold on to him. You are not the glue of your family, though you may feel like you need to be. You are not the glue of your church or your job. You are a beloved child of God held by the one who is the glue. So stop trying to be the glue. Now, when you believe that, burnout stops feeling inevitable. It starts looking like what it really is, a life out of alignment with the truth of who you are. Now, I'm not saying you're broken, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with you. You're just out of alignment, and there's nothing wrong with that. So this is where the holy self-audit comes in. Now, before anything changes on the outside, we have to tell the truth on the inside. So I want you to take a walk with me for a few moments, just through a few questions. Okay, I'm going to give you a few questions. Let's talk about this. Now, you don't have to write them down right now, but I do want you to let them echo. So let them sit in the places where you've been avoiding your own reflection. Okay, here's where it takes guts. This is where the work starts. Now, ask yourself first, what am I saying yes to that no longer fits who I am becoming? That's powerful. Next, where am I pretending to be okay when I'm not? That's even bigger, because we've learned to pretend. We've learned to put on the right mask. Next, who am I serving at the expense of my own peace? That right there should kind of resonate really deeply with you. Next, what is one thing I keep postponing that my spirit keeps asking me to do? This kind of feels like, how am I being inauthentic? How am I being more attentive and intentional about somebody else instead of me? Next, and probably most important, what would my day look like if I actually believed that I was already enough? Now, don't rush this. Your answers are not a to-do list. This is not a test that you have to finish in under a minute. They are a mirror. So read your answers, sit with them, because they will show you exactly where transformation wants to begin. And more important than that, they will show you exactly where transformation is being blocked by you. Awareness is not the whole journey, but it is the door, it's the start. And today you are standing in the doorway of a life where your health is not an afterthought. Your peace is not optional, and your worth is not measured by how much you can carry. Let that sink in. Now, what about your burnout exit plan? Well, this is all about micro implementations, nothing big. Now, it's time to move from revelation to small rebellions that you need to do. Not against people, not against responsibility, but against the lie that says this is just how your life has to be, because it's not. So I want you to give yourself 4 tiny practices. They might look simple, but don't underestimate them. This is how you start breaking agreements with burnout. So, implementation number 1, the pause before yes. For the next 24 hours, every time someone asks something of you, practice a sacred pause. Before you answer, ask yourself quietly, does this align with peace or with pressure? And if it's pressure, it's not your assignment. Now, here's the thing. It's completely okay to say, let me get back to you on that. And you need to do that no matter what you feel. That one sentence buys you the time that you need, and it breaks the habit of just the reflexive yes that you've become accustomed to giving. It retrains your nervous system to believe that your schedule belongs to God, not to guilt. Now, the second implementation, it's called the gentle body check-in, and you're going to love this. Now, 3 times today, morning, midday, and evening, I want you to pause for just 30 seconds, and ask your body, what are you trying to tell me right now? Your shoulders, are they tense? Your jaw, is it tight? Your breathing, is it shallow? Well, go ahead and place your hand over your heart, inhale slowly, and exhale even slower. That's how you give your nervous system a chance or permission to chill, to calm down. Now, I want you to also whisper, peace is presence, and I am allowed to rest. Now, look, relax, take it easy. This is not some woo-woo. This is backed by science, and this is honoring the temple God trusted you with, okay? It's a way for you to turn off your sympathetic nervous system and turn on your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, here's implementation 3, and this is about one honest truth and it being out loud, okay? So, at some point today, I want you to speak one honest sentence that you would normally keep quiet or swallow. Not to start a fight, not to prove a point, not to be right, but just to be honest with yourself. I mean, it could be, I'm more tired than I've been letting everybody on, to believe. It could be, I need help with this. I'm serious. It could be, I can't say yes to that right now. I just don't know. But every time you speak truth, shame loses a little bit of its grip. Your body relaxes when your mouth stops lying. Let me say that again. And I'm going to put it a different way. You give your body permission to relax when you give your mouth permission to be truthful. Okay? That should hit deeper. Now, this is the 4th implementation, and it's called a nightly surrender. I think you're going to like this too. Now, before you go to bed tonight, I want you to name the one thing you cannot control. Just one thing you cannot control. Say it out loud. And then say this, God, I give this back to you. That's not weakness. That is wisdom, my friend. Because every burden you surrender creates space for healing in your body. It gives space to clarity in your mind and peace in your spirit. These small acts do something subtle but sacred. They start retraining your nervous system to recognize truth over drama, truth over trauma, truth over you giving more power to the lie. And it also helps you to give your nervous system permission to give identity power over illusion, and to also recognize presence over performance. You see, you don't have to earn rest. You just have to return to it. And you also just have to learn and implement a new way to wake up. So I want you to hear this. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're not falling behind. Just get rid of that thought, okay? Here's the thing. You're tired because you've been carrying more than one human being was ever designed to carry alone. But nobody's really going to tell you that. But you're not going to keep living like this, not after today, because you've got some truth that gives you permission to free yourself. Now, I want you to picture tomorrow morning. You're just waking up, okay? You're in the same bed, you're in the same room, and you're in the same life. But something is different. You wake up, and before you reach for your phone, yes, before you reach for your phone, you put your hand over your heart and you whisper, God, thank you for my life. Thank you for my body, and I will not treat either like they're disposable. You sit on the edge of the bed with your feet touching the floor, and instead of bracing yourself for another day fighting for survival, you take one slow breath and choose a different agreement. I will no longer sacrifice my health to keep everyone else comfortable. I will no longer call burnout normal. I am worth protecting. That's not selfish. That's stewardship. By the way, the Bible says in 3 John chapter 1, verse 2, it says, Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospereth. Now, God is not glorified by your collapse. He's not trying to look at you collapse and go, yeah, now you have to depend on me. He's glorified by your wholeness. You're not a machine that he uses up. You're not something that God is just trying to exhaust. You are a beloved child of God. So lift your head just a little. Feel that tiny stretch? That is not more pressure. That's freedom trying to move back into your body. So, you're allowed to rest. You're allowed to heal. You're allowed to build a life that doesn't require you to slowly disappear like you've been trying to do. You haven't failed. You have not failed. You have just reached the end of the story that was never worthy of you. You just reached the end of the story that you were not supposed to be telling. And now a new one begins. The real one begins. You ready for that? Now, here's how it opens. You have always mattered. You have always been good enough. You are and have always been worthy. And here is the dedication to you. And it's never too late to transform your life on purpose. So if this episode helped you exhale even a little bit, stay close. Share this with someone who's been running on empty for far too long. And when you're ready, go back. Go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 again, and do it as a 3-part journey. Your nervous system is allowed to heal. Your schedule is allowed to change. And your life is allowed to feel lighter. That's what happens when you take some of the stuff out of that big old backpack that you carry. Drop it off. It's too much.